Hello, in this completely introductory tutorial about CSS, we will be looking at CSS from the complete beginner's perspective. You don't need any experience, and anybody should be able to follow along as long as you can enter in some snippets of code. The tools we'll be using are generic profile editor, which I have forked from a nice person named Nein, who also has one, but I wasn't certain if he wanted me to use it in these videos, so I've just simply forked it. You can find his here, and you can find his profile information on that page. We'll be using Spacehey, which is a MySpace clone, but I'd like to think of it a little bit more as that. It seems very organic. The creator, Anne, has done a great job of making it feel like a nice community. You can learn more, of course, by going to the URL. But we're going to use it as a base because I would have liked to be able to have these videos when I first used MySpace when I was younger. Now, generic profile editor is nice because this box, anything you type here will show up here in the About Me section. So anything you put it all, any HTML or CSS, and it does so in real time. But what is CSS? Well, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's just the language that web pages use to determine the style of a web page. Why this text is this color, why it has this background, how to make this bold, how to lay out this website, why this website has two columns. And now it is a combination of HTML and CSS, but CSS is strictly for just styling and not structure. So what does it look like? So in a simple example, you have two style tags and they look like this. And anything you put in between these style tags will be understood as CSS. And you have selectors, which select an element on the page. So the next part is after your selector is you have braces that say, I want to put a certain property of this selector and change it. So we're going to change the background. And so we're just saying the body, which is the entire body of this page, everything in the back. And we want to target the background and change its color. So let's make it red. And it's important that you separate the property from the value with a little colon here and a semicolon at the end. And now it will render without the semicolon, but there's a chance it will break, and it's required per spec. So it's just safer to include it after every single rule. Now you can change the color, a bunch of pre-specified colors. You can use hex color. You can use RGB. You can use RGB alpha. And the fourth argument is an alpha value. So 1 being the highest, and we're 0.0001 being the lightest. But we're going to stick with red. So it changes the entire body of the page. Now, most people don't want just a plain color. So let's look at how to make it a picture. So here we've done the same thing as before, except we've said instead of a color, let's use a URL. And we have this link here, which if we open this in a new tab, we can just see it's just a small little 16 by 16 picture, and it repeats by default. Now, if you want a full page background, it's done just the same way, except we will now use this block of text. Now, don't get overwhelmed. There's a little bit of stuff here, but a lot of it's redundant. And what we're saying is we want to target the body. We want to change the body's background. We're going to use a URL. We don't want this image to repeat like it did last time. We want to set the position to be center horizontally and vertically. Horizontally, vertically. And we're going to have it fixed, which means it's not going to move as we scroll. We also like to change the background size to cover. And now you heard me mention some redundancy, and this is just saying, this is targeting different browsers. Mozilla, I believe WebKit is Safari, and I think O is Opera. You can get away with just this, but with certain properties, it's safer to put this so it will render uniformly across browsers. Now, there are various rules that you can put here, and there's a full list right here, and it looks insane. It's absolutely a mess visually, but if you get lost, there's also this place here, which is W3 Schools is a gentler documentation website. I still refer to it even after years of using CSS and HTML and JavaScript. All right, and now that's 3 different ways to change your background. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, please let me know, and I hope you have a nice day.